Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Mental Mastery Alliance podcast. Today we have with us a guest, a returning guest, a guest that you all know and love. Well, maybe you don't know and love him, but I do. Eddie Smith, he's got 18,000 different Instagram accounts, all of them doing really well, and he's taking on new clients to boost up their Instagrams as well. But we don't talk about that too much because he's kind of on the underground with that sort of thing, unless he's not these days, unless he's really pushing that message and pushing that bravado. I know this guy has his hat, wearing multiple different hats. He's got his hand in every single cookie jar that's ever been offered to him, and he is an international man of mystery. He is doing absolutely everything he possibly can to make that dollar, to make a difference, to make a change, to make you see. Eddie Smith, welcome to the show.
What's up, brother? Thanks for having me again. I go in like tides, just like the ocean. And, sometimes I'm here, sometimes I'm there. I might be in the Pacific today, the Atlantic tomorrow,
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with that at all. You and I have been trying to, not necessarily trying to, but we've been sort of talking back and forth, getting you back on the show for a while now. Just everything has just been so busy. And last time you were on the show was before COVID. And right now we're actually, this is a first for us too, because right now the Mental Mastery Alliance is live on Instagram. I'm not good at this. I'm not good at Instagram lives. So I also didn't put my makeup on. I'm not pretty. I got a voice for radio. That's what's going on here. And I don't want to be distracted. So we are live. You can ask us questions if you join the live stream. I think that they can see that I'm live, right?
If you're gonna ask a question, there's a comment box. And then right next to that comment box, there's a question mark inside. It looks like a card deck. Click that question mark inside of the rectangle box. It looks like a card deck, and then ask your questions there.
But that is okay. So whatever that is, but is my audience seeing this, or is it just your audience that's seeing this?
Both
Both of our audiences.
Your audience was informed that you went live.
Ah, fantastic. So that's a first. So we are first. I'm not visible on the live stream, but I believe I'm audible. So if you do have a question, ask. Eddie will be monitoring, I suppose, the questions as they pop up, if they pop up. I won't be monitoring. And this obviously will also go live. When this goes up, when this becomes available as a podcast, we won't be live. So don't be looking for us when you're listening to this on the podcast version of this, which is coming as soon as we're done recording this, which is live. We're having a little bit of fun. So here we are doing our very first live with a good friend and family member of the Instagram family. The world's a small place. We certainly all get connected to certain accounts, and we have a lot of fun with certain people, and it's just kismet. And, people that I've never met in real life. We have this opportunity now, this world that we live in, this fantastic internet world where anyone can talk to anybody from any office, from anywhere, where the world is just rapidly changing. It's a crazy time to be alive. There are so many people that are pushing a narrative, pushing a message, pushing some sort of a negativity. I'm not 100% sure why. What you're also seeing too is the trolls. Ladies and gentlemen, you're seeing the trolls come out. There's a lot of trolls. And what that means is, you're seeing sarcasm at its peak level. These people that are being sarcastic, these people that are being negative energy, these people that are running you down, running you out. It's everywhere. It isn't just you. It isn't just, it's not just your one experience here. You're seeing a change in guard, and there is a pushback. For every time that we try to change something, there is a pushback. So that means the trolls are out. That means there are people out there trying to shake your confidence. Don't listen to them. Don't be bothered by them. Don't be pestered by them. Don't stress the small things. Eddie and I were just talking about the fact that my Instagram account, for example, has been completely dethrottled. And that's an interesting thing. Eddie, you know way more about Instagram than I do. What does that mean? Why would a company go around dethrottling somebody that's trying to offer up positivity?
Yeah, so the way that these companies are structured is that they have machine learning, artificial intelligence. They're using basically robots, digital robots, to take all the data, the metadata, the data that you are not really familiar with, it's becoming more and more mainstream, but the data that you're not even thinking about until you feel like you've been exploited, they're taking that data and they're using complex mathematical equations to search for keywords, to search for images, facial recognition, tones, words, like the whole 9 yards, right? So they're using these machines, these robots, this artificial intelligence, this machine learning, whatever one of those terms clicks with you the most, and they're analyzing the data that passed through servers. And you think like a server, think of like this iPhone charger, right? And so here is you, the end user. And then here is the company, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever, YouTube, right? So end user, you, the machine. You have to pass through this line, right, to reach the other side. And so as you're posting content, they've got all these, you call them firewalls or whatever. And each time your information passes through this line, it's being hashed and analyzed. And if it's something that does not fit the narrative that they're pushing, because now they're starting to realize that they have to police this information, like with the fact checker feature, et cetera, so on and so forth, and now just throttling people's visibility. When that happens, it's because you're passing through this, in essence, tube that funnels your information somewhere where they can either have a human review or a machine review. And then depending on that review, you either get upvoted, downvoted, or you stay the same.
Well, I've been downvoted to shit. We my engagement on this account has basically dropped to not even 10%. Every post once upon a time was fine. It was on average. You're getting, I don't know what the standard Instagram engagement is, but I was hovering around 10% with regards to likes, comments, DMs, things like that. Now I'm less than 1%. If I have to be less than, I have to be less than 1%, because I'm getting less than 280 engagements on any given post, and I have 28,000 fans or followers or whatever. So that's less than 1%. And that just, it came out of the blue. And I traced it right back to Save the Children. The hashtag Save the Children wiped me out. So I've said before, I'm like, I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem losing that version or that platform. I mean, there's other things coming along, they're coming down the line, like Patreon's probably a big one, something like that. And I'm going to be controversial. At the end of the day, no matter how I slice it, no matter what kind of pigeonhole I feel or place I put myself in or ideology that I have, I'm going to be controversial. Simply because I do not ever accept the general narrative. I don't live in that world. And I don't do it with aggression. I just question. If people are going to push a message, I'm going to question that message on any given message, which is what you and I were talking about as well with regards to 4D5D. And that sounds like juju to some people. But before we went live, we were also talking about the mudfloods in Tartaria and what it means to be the civilization that was here before in the Great Fire of Chicago. Like, if you can't have these conversations with people, why even talk to people, right? But talking about that stuff, there's a group and a collective of people that are designed to collapse under newspeak. They're designed to collapse under anything that isn't the Kardashians or on TV or sports. And they're also pre-programmed to make fun of you, right? Anyone that thinks freely, that your programming, think about this, ladies and gentlemen, if you speak openly and freely, people are going to make fun of you because they're not only slow and they don't have the mental capacity to carry on these conversations, but they've also been brainwashed from a very young age to make fun of anyone that speaks outside the narrative. So yes, the Mental Mastery Alliance is a motivational podcast. Yes, the Mental Mastery Alliance in and of itself is motivational in the sense where we get rid of anxiety, we get rid of depression, we get rid of all the bullshit that exists in the world that slows you down from achieving what you want. There's a lot of people out there that are like, you know, oh, you're a self-help guru, you're a life coach, you're this, you're that. We aren't. As a collective, we aren't. And as an individual, I'm not. I'm not a life coach. I'm gonna tell you what the fuck's up. I'm gonna say it in certain ways. I'm gonna resonate with certain people. We're gonna get a message across. So even if they wipe me out, the really cool thing is I've got guys out there. I've got friends. If I get wiped out right away, I mean, your influence alone, Eddie, could have me back up and running and have me reaching people pretty quickly. So, I mean, when you're not afraid of anything, when you lose the fear of loss, you become invincible. And which brings me to my next point. Aside from the business of Instagram, and I will say this, ladies and gentlemen, OG Eddie Smith is the Instagram handle. It's Instagram.com/OG Eddie Smith. We're live on his account right now. If you're seeing me, jump over, follow him. He's actually got a really neat system right now. As a setup, I'm looking at it right now. He's got 11,000.1 followers, and he's following 111 people. Lots of ones out there. I like the synchronicity of it all. But go over there and give him a follow. If you're looking to build your Instagram account, it's what he does. It's one of the many things that he does. He does it really well. That's a huge pump. There's going to be all this is going to be kicked back in the episode description as well. This isn't a blow up Eddie, make big up Eddie episode here. What we want to talk about is all kinds of stuff. The shit that makes him tick, the shit that makes us Kismet, the shit that we resonate with. His other Instagram, AwokenShit, was one of my very first follows. I just loved his title. It was like, be fucking awoken, fuck. You know, just the way he put it out there, the way he created it. It's like, it's all juju anyway. So you might as well just sort of call it as it is. And it's AwokenShit. And that's what his very entertaining platform for me is. He's got all kinds of different ones, but what's going on with his AwokenShit and his Awoken Truth, more so the AwokenShit page, is he's really pushing a spiritual message. Eddie, what sort of took place with you recently that had you've always been super spiritual, but now you're really pushing a personal positivity on people, and you've jumped into different realms. I mean, some stuff over here, you've got one of my favorite diagrams of all time is the journey to 5D, which is the Earth's suffering, lack, ignorance, the matrix, and then kapow. Then you've got your awakening. You've got knowledge, abundance, love, and peace, fifth dimension. Can you pinpoint something right now that took place that had you step up again? Because you've always been a cut above, but you went another level.
2 miscarriages. Yeah, it was 2 miscarriages, within 6 months. Wow. That'll really fuck your mind up. And then on top of that, like the miscarriages, and then like COVID, which I think is a fucking joke. I'm not saying it's not real, but the whole narrative around it is a joke. Mm-hmm. And the fear mongering, the fear tactics is a joke. And the extreme disregard for scientific data and for facts and stats. Like I've never seen, we were talking about this, I've never seen a time where so many people experienced cognitive dissonance at the same time on the same level about something that's so clearly and blatantly false.
Yeah.
And that happened, and then that affected my business, and then I rebounded from my business by like digging deeper inside of myself, and watching, exposing myself to new ideas and new philosophies and whatnot. And I just seen someone said, why don't you think COVID is real? I'm not saying that COVID's fake. What I'm saying is that the response to COVID is artificial. So there's been a lot of studies and whatnot that have come out that have blown the whistle on the actual like fatality, mortality rate of this, the recoverability of it. And so it's been artificially inflated and enhanced to make us live in fear, when in reality, a lot of the threat that we feel was there is false threat. In Chicago alone, one weekend we had like over 100 people die of gunshot wounds. Gunshot wounds, because we have a lot of gang violence in Chicago. It's the summertime, and if you had COVID while you died from a gunshot wound, you counted as a COVID death, which is an artificial inflation of fear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of the things that's huge is you know, the desire to argue. Like I was saying at the beginning of the cast, this whole aggression side effect, the trolls that are out, the people that want to talk shit, the people that don't want to find answers, the people that want to talk shit. And they want to disrupt your positivity. They throw a wrench into your positivity, the way you think, the way you feel. And in doing so, they also attempt to have your viewers or your readers, question that narrative as well. So if you put something positive out there, they're going to try to do their best to kibosh it. They don't even realize they're doing it, but they're trained agents, subconscious trained agents, just simply being an asshole because they want to get their 2 cents in on an account or on somebody that's really trying to do something, to do some change. Why is COVID fake? I've said it 1,000 times. If you want to know what COVID is or what they intended to do with COVID, watch or go back in time and look how they handled the Spanish flu. Look what they did with the Spanish flu. Back when there was no internet, there was no connectivity with people. The Spanish flu lasted for 11 years because people weren't talking to themselves. Because people were like, wait a minute, we should hide. We should do as the radio tells us, because you have 3 channels on the radio and they're all saying stay inside. People are dying. And if you don't have a window to look out of, if you don't have the internet, if you don't have the ability to ask questions or to deduce or to see or to think or to connect the numbers with the reality, then you're going to stay inside. 11 years people fell for this COVID bullshit back in the day. In the Spanish flu, they called it back then. But you can look at that. You can look at what happened. You can watch how it played out. You can watch how they rolled it out. You can see that it started with a toilet paper shortage as well. So there is idiosyncrasies, there's ironies, and there's a lot of things that play in a factor. Why isn't COVID real? For another reason, they're talking about a death rate that is originally was asinine. It was one hell of a large number. This death rate.
What was it? It was like 1 in 3 people. Somebody actually defriended me. This fucking idiot actually defriended me and was like, "You're crazy. 1 in 3 people that you know could die." And I said, if that happens, and I guess the earth said that we fucked it up too much.
Yeah.
Death is a natural part of life.
Yeah.
And who am I to play God? I could be one of those 1 in 3. So, I guess it was nice knowing you.
Yeah. And that's their fear and their anger speaking at you, not to you, at you, not looking for a solution or a problem. They're trying to discredit and destroy you. How many times have you heard people say, "You're not going to wear a fucking mask? I hope you die." Like, these people are trying to, they don't have an original idea in their head. They don't have the ability, and I'm not knocking all the people that do have original ideas. I'm just saying there are a select group of people that are aggressively attacking people without actually putting any thought into what they're doing.
There is a difference between doing research. Doing research is not listening to the mainstream media.
Mm-hmm.
Between doing research, deducting your own critical thinking, your own critical thoughts, and coming to an educated decision.
Yes, an educated decision that affects you.
But the trolls aren't coming from that. They're coming from, well, the mainstream media said this.
Yes.
President said that. Who said this? CDC said that. And they're not taking any of their own critical thinking skills to deduce their own thoughts.
You'll also see people, the if this then that group of people that are out there. Well, if you're not listening to the mainstream media, then you're getting your information from memes. If you're anti-Trump, you're pro-Biden, right? Or whatever it is. If you're the screw around, like, I mean, politically, that's another joke. Like the fact that Kamala Harris is now the running mate. Like, A, it was predictable. We called it like 2 weeks ago. B, it's insane. She's called him a sexist and a racist, and the chaos that it's like they're trying to throw the election. Anyway, that's a whole other topic that we will get into, perhaps this time, perhaps next time. But back to the COVID thing, what you spoke on, the logical deduction, use your own eyes, use every sense you have. If quote unquote 1 in 3 and all these people that were dying were supposed to die or whatever, there would be family members for every single one of these deaths. And every single one of these deaths would have at least 1 family member. or actually I wouldn't say every single one, because people are going to latch onto that. Let's just say if you average out 10,000 people that died, there would be per person 2 people that had something to say about it. And there isn't a single person on Facebook saying, I lost someone due to COVID, except for the person that decides they want to jump in right now and say, I did lose someone. And they're going to tell you a story. They're going to make something up to make themselves feel important. I'm not saying people haven't died from COVID.
No, and I was just going to say, there could be people that genuinely say that, but just because that's what you were told, just like, boom, I got shot, I died, I had COVID. They're going to tell you that he died of a gunshot, but he had COVID. So there's we're going to mark him as that because he could have died of COVID, and people are going to accept that. People are like, oh, you should see, I know somebody that works at a hospital and they're like, I see people. It's funny because I've heard nurses on both ends of the spectrums. I've heard nurses that said my hospital is laying people off because we're so fucking slow. We have no cases. The cases that we have are super mild, and we're not even convinced that it's this thing that they're saying. Then there's nurses that are saying, I'm watching people die every day. But here's the thing they're not realizing. If you have pneumonia, if you had fucking cardiac arrest, if you have fucking any number of other illnesses or disorders or vitamin D deficiency, because the majority of people that are dying have vitamin D deficiencies, which means that you're not getting out in the sun very much, which means you're probably elderly, which means that there's also something else in your body that's not helping you to process vitamin D, right? Deficient. Those are the majority of deaths. People in elderly communities, nursing homes, people in inner city and impoverished areas. All right. So you start bringing all this down, and like, oh, people of color are dying. And I'm a person of color, so don't even try to come at me right now. But people of color are dying more than white people. Well, it's because they're not getting enough fucking vitamin D. A lot of them have sickle cell or a different form of fucking anemia. They have less access to healthcare. And odds are that they were immunocompromised from the beginning, but there was never something that came through that was going to activate those immunocompromised. And so people are like, yeah, I know someone that died, or I work at a hospital and it's flooded. Well, guess what? A lot of these areas that they were saying that had poor fucking healthcare systems, have poor fucking hygiene, have poor fucking, air quality and sun quality and UV qualities. And people don't realize that you're saying this because the doctor told you, or like you said, Adam, it's fucking actors, but you're not even educated enough because you haven't done the research to fucking deduct your own thought process to even know all these other factors. And so you hear that and your mind goes to, boom, I'm going to defend what I know is true because the media told me, and I don't have time nor energy nor the fucking brain space to go do this research on my own.
Moreover than that too, they're not even aware that there needs to be any research. Because when you blindly accept what you've been told for so long, the idea that they would be lying to you, the cognitive dissonance disarray doesn't compute. They can't get through that. They can't get through, why would the media lie is the thing that you hear a lot. Now, another thing too is most of these people are aggressive. They're aggressive face mask wearers. They're aggressive this, aggressive that. And that's because or they assume that we are aggressive as well, the ones that are sort of living in a different world. We're not aggressive. You're aggressive, and you're literally having an argument with yourself for the most part when it comes to this stuff. You want to talk about COVID being real? Great, cool. That's wonderful. You want to talk about it not being real? That's cool, But if COVID is real, then where's the proof? Where's the proof? If COVID is fake, then what's its intention? And if we stop arguing about COVID itself and we start looking at the broader spectrum and the broader picture and what it's all about, like you talk about vitamin D deficiency and other situations, COVID, the narrative is wear a mask. So give yourself a hard time breathing and stay inside. So stay directly out of the sun. All the things that can help you, they're telling you to do the opposite of. I thought you were reaching for your demuter there.
No, I was just waving. But exactly, that's the thing that people don't realize. And the problem is that people aren't doing their own research. I'm not saying go out and do something that you feel is dangerous. But what I am saying is that you need to cognitively make a decision to do something that you need to do. And I see my homie Kimra, she said, no one is telling people not to go into the sun. Kimra, I know that you're speaking from your own experience, and I respect you a lot. I got a lot of love for you, helped me a lot in my business and in my life. But there are places where that's your town, But here in Chicago, we were told not to go outside. The mayor actually went on air and said, do not go outside. Do not go for a casual stroll. And then the whole town was in uproar because she went and she did it with her wife or her girlfriend or whatever it is to her. So I get that in your town, that's the way that your reality is. But in a large part, the reality for a lot of people is that they've been told not to go to parks. They've been told they shut down all the nature preserves here in Chicago. They shut down all of the parks and recreation. And because they said that people were gathering, but their trails, people are walking, they're not gathering. And so that's what happened here in Chicago. I understand your reality and your experience was a lot different, but we can't all be as lucky as you. For a large majority of us, they said liquor stores are open, which makes no fucking sense because it lowers your immune system. They said that you have to stay indoors. They said that you can't get COVID by food delivery when that doesn't make any fucking sense, because if somebody has COVID, and here's food that I got earlier, and they're holding my food, even if they have gloves on, right? Someone has COVID, they're holding my food, they come, they deliver it to my door, they cough on my food, or they rub their nose or got mucus on it, and then boom, they hand me that, and then I put it. Guess what? The COVID just magically isn't no longer on my my bag. It's no longer magically on my burrito. It's no longer magically on my napkin that they touched or on the drink or the straw. It just doesn't make sense, right?
Then you'll hear people say that he never touched the napkin. Well, somebody did because somebody put it in the bag. So 12 people touched your food, and all of a sudden you don't have COVID, right? That's the same thing in the restaurants up here, bro. When they said that stuff, they were like, you can go, you can't have a drink, but you can go and sit down and eat. But alcohol wasn't served. So it was like, no, alcohol was served, but food wasn't. There was no food, but you could drink.
Then on top of that, and I really have love for Kimra, so I'm not even trying to come at her, but I know there's a lot of people that are like Kimra. I know Kimra's very vehemently like listening to the government and what they're saying, but
that's a shame.
Listen to what they're not saying. Listen to what they're not promoting. Read the facts and the stats of what's actually going on, because if the scientists are saying that there's a 97 to 99.75% recovery rate, that is not a pandemic.
Well, here's another thing that's not a pandemic. The Miami Marlins of baseball, they started baseball up. Ladies and gentlemen, everybody's listening to the government. Everybody's living in fear. Everybody's quarantining. Everybody's blah, blah, blah. We're going to save ourselves for a vaccine. I can go aggressive on this because it's stupid. Now, the Miami Marlins started the baseball season along with everybody else. 18 players, quote unquote, broke out with quote unquote COVID, quote unquote. And they quarantined after 7 games played, they quarantined for 2 weeks, and then they came back. And all 18 players now, along with the rest of the team, are playing every other team in the league, and they're playing double headers to catch up for lost games. So they're playing 14 to 18 innings a day after getting diagnosed with COVID, not dying, sitting on their asses for 14 days, and then coming back and healthily just playing the game. So this unnatural.
Same thing with the NBA. Same thing all around the world. People, it's got scientifically proven, whether you believe science or not, that the government's not promoting intentionally a 97 to 99.75% recovery rate. If that is the case, what are you afraid of? Why are you staying inside?
Yeah. Now, on top of that, too, there hasn't been any other deaths. There hasn't been any other topics. There hasn't been any gang violence. There hasn't been anything. There hasn't been any terrorist attacks. There hasn't been anything at all, period, on the news. If the news covered car crashes and vehicular mortalities the same way they cover COVID, nobody would ever drive again. And on the other side, we have these conversations, and we have the ability to have these conversations. I had a fella on the show not too long ago that was he's in the UAE, he's in Dubai. And the rule in Dubai right now is one member of the household can leave within a 24-hour period to acquire food for the rest of the household while they all stay in their giant ivory towers.
Dude, in Russia, it was like you couldn't leave 100 feet from your doorstep.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. I'm looking at the thing right here, sort of. I don't want to get distracted by this. I'm not looking at that. Never mind that. I got to focus on the podcast at hand that needs to get edited and go out. You focus on the live, Eddie. You got this. But there's people going off on the live right now. This is actually kind of fun. This is something that should be done more often.
Yeah, definitely. And Kimmer, I'm not, like I said, and Adam said also, we're not saying that you don't know people that have died from COVID. and you don't know that they were completely young and healthy. They could have had things inside of them that they didn't tell you. They could have had things inside of them that they didn't know about. I'm not saying that, I'm not invalidating your experience, because that is your experience. What I am saying is that, and what Adam's saying is that there is more information here than what is being presented to you. It is impossible for science to officially release a study about neurological impact on something that's so new, because you would have to see if those neurological impacts, how long they're lasting. You'd have to see if those neurological impacts are due to the virus specifically, or if they're due to what happened as a result of the virus. Being stuck indoors, that can fuck your neurologicals up. Like, there's so many things that are at play here. I'm not invalidating your experience. What I'm saying is that that's just the tip of the iceberg. You know, very tip of the iceberg. And I know that you are very passionate, but you know, it's just one of those things where you have to agree to disagree on, you know?
You can't. I wouldn't even say agree to disagree. I would say embrace your opinion. I would say embrace your opinion, and maintain it. Because
Yeah, I agree with that also.
Yeah.
I respect Bush, because even if it was part of like some bigger fucking bullshit, when he said, I'm going to go to war in Iraq, he went to war in Iraq. He never backed down.
Yeah, we don't know what's going on with the wars. War itself is foolish and stupid.
Yeah, I'm just saying, backing up whether it's
words.
popular, standing behind what you believe in.
100%. And to anyone that wants to, you can say I'm an asshole. You can say I'm ludicrous. You have every right to say that I'm a piece of shit for having my opinion, for having my views. And you know what? I fucking respect you for having the opinion that I'm a piece of shit. I respect that. Good for you, right? Because every single person on this planet exists to learn from everybody else.
5G is the same as light bulbs.
What's happening?
You realize that they use 5G in military crowd control experiences. They use it in military warfare. I can send you some videos. I love you so much. I really have so much respect for you. But to say that 5G is the same as light bulbs is completely ignorant. And there are videos showing that it has very real effects.
Oh,
it can fuck you up.
Okay, well, she just jumped over to
equate it to a light bulb is very dangerous, false information.
Why 5G is a pain in the ass and why it's wrong. I don't want to get on that topic, and we can't let her hijack this show, because she can just keep talking all she wants, but she can't hijack the show. But 5G, the difference between 5G and every other G is that they went from radio waves to microwaves, and that's the difference. 5G is a microwave. Every other frequency was a radio wave. Not good for us in abundance, 4G, but 5G is the same frequency that cooks your hot dog. So be very careful with that. It's peculiar, whatever. And again, have your opinion, do your thing. This isn't a 5G show. I could give two shits about 5G at this moment in time. So the interesting thing too is when you talk about standing your ground, when you talk about Bush, when you talk about potential evil, all the sort of stuff, these opinions that people have, we sit in a world where, we were talking about, the elites and pedophiles, and you were like, what? I don't know. You're like, Chrissy Teigen did what?
I was going to say, we're talking about Chrissy Teigen, because I always, from like what I know of Chrissy Teigen, because I don't like pay attention to all that shit at all. Like, I don't even fucking know shit. Like, I was like, oh, Gary Vee, Grant Cardone, like in the middle or the entrepreneur space, and I was like, I don't know what they're doing. But I always, from what I know of her, I thought she was like, because she was married to
John Legend.
Yeah, John Legend's supposed to be like super spiritual.
Yeah, he also eats babies. So, I mean, I don't know if I'm going to get shut down for that sort of thing. I don't talk openly about that. I mean, I do talk openly about it, but with regards to the algorithm, and we are Facebook Live right now, so I don't know, I don't know how the rules are, but I can put up some videos, man. I will not put up. I can show you some videos, and they're out there. You can look at any of the quote unquote conspiracy pages, and you can look at Chrissy Teigen was on a show talking about eating human flesh. Like, if you were at a casual restaurant, would you would you eat human if it was offered? Would you eat a small piece of human? The guy's like, no, fuck no. Were you mad? She's like, no, not just a small piece. Like, even if it was absolute luxury, you wouldn't eat just a small piece. He's like, no, you're crazy. She's like, you would. And it was so awkward. And this was like live television. It was awkward as shit. And that clip's everywhere. You can find that. That's not hidden. Chrissy Teigen went to war with one of my buddies, the guys that I'm paying attention to over here. And
there's places where you can eat human meat legally.
There's
in
rumors.
California, in
There's
LA. No, it's real. It's a real thing.
I don't know. I don't know. I've heard about this. I know what you're talking about. I've heard about this, but
They say it's like
no.
ethically sourced.
I'm gonna go ahead and say no again on that. I'm gonna stop that as well. I mean, I've heard the stories, but I think that when push comes to shove, and if any serious digging was done, there would be no human meat served in any restaurant anywhere. And if anyone can prove me wrong, please do. But I think that an actual 20-minute investigation would yield that that's
Oh,
probably
you
just a
think
fairy
it's
tale.
just kind of like them, like giving, like making, like giving the like, oh, like they're not really eating it, but it's the idea that they're eating it,
I
like
think that you heard a
pseudo.
story. I think that you heard a story that you're like, well, you know what, it's believable. But I think that if you actually did the actual work, like if you decide you heard a story and you didn't give a shit, so it just became something that you heard, something that you may regurgitate. But if you actually put some effort into it, I don't think that you would find a restaurant anywhere that serves human, actually serves human. Because I know inside my mind, I remember reading articles about that too. But I also remember reading debunking articles or things being like, no, we were just fucking joking. Like this isn't real. So I mean, there's
Yeah,
a
and I can
crisscross
see
too
that
on
too
that.
because I'm the type of person to joke about something like super like inappropriate,
Oh yeah,
and then people be like, "Are you serious?" I'm like, "How could you honestly think I'm serious about that?"
exactly. So that's kind of what I think just took place in your mind right now. You heard somewhere that something and it didn't matter to you, so you're like, ah, fuck it, whatever. And that just stuck in the annals of your head as a possibility. And now as you voice it, you're like, I'm probably wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I've never done it, and nor would I ever even want to. Like, okay, so here's the second part of that. I would never want to go seek out a place like that because I don't want to be what's on the menu.
No, no, exactly. Like, I don't want to eat me, you
Was
know?
that movie where they had the Rottweiler tattoo? Was it fucking, and they like hunt people, eat people, torture people.
Oh, like any version of Elite Islands.
Yeah, I guess. I mean,
The
yeah.
elites. But I mean, see, that's not the stuff that you focus on, and I like that about you. Like, you don't have to talk about fucking Jeffrey Epstein and Pedo Island. But now that I've mentioned it, I can put it in the quotes of the episode. But it's a funny thing because they say all this horrible stuff that goes down. They say all this horrible stuff. They say, and what do? We read, and we make our opinions. And all of our opinions, ladies and gentlemen, every last one of your opinions and every last one of my opinions is wrong. They are all wrong all the time because we do not have all the information. We don't even have come close to all the information. And that in and of itself is a problem. But here's where the expansive problem comes from that. When you try to deduce the answer to something, or when you try to craft and create a response to something, when you don't have all, when you don't have the whole story, you're also utilizing a false narrative to create that. So it's like trying to do a math equation with a broken calculator that you don't know is broken. So you do all the work correctly, but it's wrong. It's all wrong because we've been taught it's wrong from day one. Why don't we know anything about free energy? Why don't we know anything about,
Yeah.
previous civilizations? Why don't we know anything about this? Why do we think that the further back in time that we went, the shorter we were as humans? Why do we think what we think?
Well,
Where did we come from?
like Terrence McKenna, he always talks about how the Egyptian black mages and uh I forget who else. I think those were the leaders at the time, like the pharaoh and shit, deliberately destroyed this knowledge.
Of course. And whatever's left is
You know?
in the Vatican. It's over at the Catholic Church, which is just a pile of
Uh,
Satanists.
Kimmer just said something that was really fascinating, and we don't have to talk about it a lot, but I just want to acknowledge it. And shout out to you, Kimmer, for staying on here, even though we had varying perceptions on things and being peaceful. So I love Kimmer. She's dope as fuck. You'd probably like Kimmer a lot because she'll go back and forth with you all day. But she said she bought some human bones from oddities fair. So did someone eat that person, or did the person just die and they took the bones from the cremating them?
Maybe the person just sold the bones to you because they needed the cash, but they're still alive.
Who knows? You know what I mean? Like I never even thought about where a lot of these oddities come from and how they come to be.
Human bones are easy. Here's one for ladies and gentlemen. You can take a look at this. The Grand Canyon, we all believe, was forged from flowing water. And that sounds like fun too. Why not? Why wouldn't that be a thing? But it also stems from it's been rumored that it is a mass graveyard for the giants, and the giants are the Tartarians. That's a whole other topic, but you can look into that if you want. Anyone listening to this, I strongly suggest you do. I haven't addressed my audience.
He, by the way, before we went live, said Tartarian times was just as recent as a couple hundred years ago, and that's why we were talking about the Chicago warfare. We were on a whole. We should have recorded that shit.
Oh, it just as it always goes that way. You get on, like you and I haven't talked in forever, so we start shooting the shit. And the pre and post shows are always so entertaining for sure. Yeah, I would definitely start recording that. But honestly, I don't have the time to edit that. Like I'm doing a million things, and I want to get in there, time it, record it, get out, do some mild edits. But like to sift through, like, because half the shit we talked about was offensive or whatever, just not necessarily.
I mean, offensive to who though? People that are afraid to, because you presented me with new knowledge. You presented me with what happened. You presented me with knowledge that I was like aware of, but like Nephilim giants, like yeah. But when you started dropping them like Chicago, I'm like, whoa! I read this book, and that's not the history that I was told, And so I pushed back a little bit, and then you came with more data, and then
Oh yeah.
and that's how it goes. But the people that can't open themselves up to new information like that, you're right. Like it would have been very offensive.
Well, that's not what I'm talking about, offensive stuff. I'm talking about you don't record the pre and post shows because we talk about stuff like this is my email for this, and this. We got to get that, and that out there. Like just general shit that you don't throw out into the, into the ethos.
Yeah, I feel you.
But with regards to Tartaria, yeah, you can look at that. Ladies and gentlemen, I mean, I've touched on Tartaria, and ladies and gentlemen of Eddie's audience, and I guess my audience, because you say my audience is listening to this as well. But it's only your audience talking. So I guess, again, I've been so wiped out that nobody from my show is over.
Yeah, I know Kimra. Like that's like one of my like main homies. When I needed help in my business, I paid her. And a lot of people talk shit about business coaches, but she helped me a lot. And
Bro, I am a business coach, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, I mean, me too. But you get what I'm saying. Like everybody else, they're legit. Could be from your audience or my audience.
Oh, I'm just saying nobody's asking. If anybody else is asking questions, I don't know. I can't see. I don't really want to know. I mean, I want you to focus on that side of things. I'm over here. And not everybody deserves to be addressed. Well, not that they don't. I mean, every single person that has a valid question, by all means, please post it. But if you just want to like be like, fuck you, I hate you, all right, that's cool too.
Yeah, that's why like anybody else that would have came at me like Kimra did, I might have felt slighted or like felt frustrated. But because I respect Kimra and I know where she's coming from, I know she has no like disdain for me. It's a lot easier to take, ooh, that's a good point in and of itself. Because I know she doesn't have disdain for me. I know that what she's saying isn't a troll. Do you know what I mean?
Well, there's always a difference. You can certainly tell a difference between a troll and somebody who's communicating. You can also tell a difference between like a troll and like a harmful troll. Like there are people that just simply want attention. And why I like trolls to a certain extent is that they'll be dumb and it will give me the opportunity to explain more of a point that I was trying to make. And you're not ever really addressing the troll in that sense. What you're doing is you're addressing the audience that's reading your comments that'll be there afterwards. And that to me is why I certainly utilize trolls in that sense.
So when all this that we've talked about, Tartaria, COVID, all of it, Polly, stop. Lay down, please.
Stop it, Polly.
Eating garbage. When we talk about that, how does that fit into like the 3D to the 5D ascension? And you're asking me like, what was the big shift at the beginning of the show, like from what you were posting and what you were saying? And
well, I think you hit the nail on the head.
Showed your face.
I think you actually glazed over it, but you hit the nail on the head when you talked about how you were spiritually affected by miscarriage and the perceived loss of life, or the loss of a potential future. That's jarring and everything. And that to me, that's a huge deal. And again, I don't want to bring it up. But when you gave that quick answer, I'd already moved on to topics because you hit it and you went away from it, and that was enough.
I mean, that was exactly it. I went through some what do they call it, like the spiritual dark night or whatever. Like I went through some hard times, and
dark night of the soul.
Yeah, dark night of the soul. I went through some hard times, and at times I still do go through some hard times. But it's leaning back on like what I know about like vibrations, frequencies, what I know about the law of attraction and thoughts and words and all the stuff that I can't stay in that space. So I can choose to stay a prisoner of my own demise, or I can liberate myself through understanding that life happens through me, not to me.
And here's one of the things too that is an interesting spot. Like if you want to talk about Hans Wilhelm, he's another individual. Are you familiar with Hans? Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. You have to give an audible answer. This is a radio show, so that's all right.
I keep muting myself just in case there's any feedback on
there
my
is.
end.
Yeah. Every time you unmute, I hear myself for some reason. So Hans Wilhelm says, a soul will come whenever there's rumor, and one of the stories goes, you pick your group of people that come here together. You travel together spiritually, and you come to this realm together, and you guys go through this world and you help each other and you do your things. So once your purpose is fulfilled, you move on, or you careen out, or whatever it is. And I've had these conversations before with people, but like those miscarriages, because I used to believe, I didn't care about abortion or this, that, or the other thing, but like now I firmly believe that a soul is a soul from day one. And it, that'll probably change, because I think a soul is a soul from before day one. I think it's a plug-in. Again, that goes into the simulation, but assuming that Hans is correct, you're looking at this, like every single thing has its purpose, right? So these people, if you look at it this way, those two miscarriages could very easily have been like your buddies in the outworld, the upstairs, that like said that they'd come with you but didn't really want to do too much. Like they're like, we'll play for like a minute, So
yeah,
so
that's what I told my partner. I was like, oh man, what probably happens? They're like, we're gonna be born in 2020. Fuck that.
Yeah, we'll come back.
Let me come back.
Yeah. I'm coming back. Fuck this. And that right there, ladies and gentlemen, we made a laugh of a miscarriage, and that's a serious deal. But that could also be very true. What we just said could 100% be very true. We don't know. And to say that we know is the shit that hurts us, is the shit that locks us in place. To be like, no, man, this is the worst thing that's ever happened to me. We have a lot of life left. There's a lot of terrible things that could take place. There's a lot of amazing things that could take place. But at the end of the day, it legitimately is all one giant experience. So what you're going to do with what's already happened is entirely up to you. And that's how you shape and shift your mind. Because happiness is, again, to be cliche about it, happiness is a choice, is it not? Back to the 5D.
And there's a lot of people that are going to jump down your throat about the mental health thing. And I understand that. But the way I look at mental health is that these disorders and these mental diagnoses exist because of the confines and the constructs that we've been placed into. It is not natural, it is not normal, and it's not okay. And so if you do suffer from mental illness and you feel like it's not a choice, look at the constructs that you were born into and the loops and the patterns that you're born into, and you look at like a computer, like you're talking about simulation theory, and I like the idea of simulation theory. It's a nice idea, but you look at a computer, if it contracts a virus, it fucks up. If it gets malware, it fucks up. If it overheats, it fucks up. If the storage gets too full, it fucks up. And all these things fuck up a computer, right? And fuck up electronics and fuck up cars. And so what makes you think that a human is not the same?
Yeah. On that topic too, sort of a subtopic on that, like every single person is different. Every single person has an opinion, and what's good for the goose isn't always good for the gander, as they say. But what is your opinion? Where are we right now? What's going on here, Eddie? Where are we here? What is this?
Like this?
Yeah. What is this? Where are we? What's going on?
All right.
That smile on your face. Let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen. Get the popcorn.
Okay, so like the TLDR, all right? Everything is frequency. Everything is vibrations. Everything is the fabrics of the interweb, okay? That's what this is right here, the fabrics of the interweb. So this is 5D, right? And 5D is consciousness. 5D is just awareness. 5D is literally being. You could just see and experience like this is 5D, all right? Being in general, like the observer, all right? But when you look at what reality is in terms of like the closest things that we can perceive, it's like Einstein and his theory of relativity and equals MC squared and all that shit. It's just fabric that you can't see. It's wavelengths, right? And then it comes out the wormhole like this. It feels solid, right? It feels solid, but none of this is solid.
No.
It is particles and atoms and cosmic dust and all this shit vibrating at a very high frequency, so high and so close together that it appears as solid. Okay, everybody agrees on this. This isn't like some spiritual woo-woo shit. This is science.
Yeah, the science of it all. You're right.
This is something that has been proven. This desk that my phone is on, my phone, this computer, they are all vibrations at an extremely high frequency together. Okay. And so if all of that is, and the chair I'm sitting on is holding me together because there's a vibration, then what is all this? All of this is nothing and everything at the same time, because everything is connected and separate at the same time, because we are all operating as light on a frequency that our minds can comprehend these shapes, figures, etc.
So where are we?
I think that we're light. I'm not real big on the love and light narrative, like love and light only, but like I think that we're light, because we're quite literally nothing other than high vibrating particles. And what are those particles made of?
That's one of the things.
They're made of energy.
Energy, yeah.
Energy is light.
I've been speaking on that.
It can be light or dark, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, oh yeah. Well, there has to be dark. There's dark to every light. I mean, it's the contrast. Without light, there is no darkness, and without darkness, there is no light. Because if everything was light, it just would be all one giant thing. Without darkness, there's no light, and that's the thing. You need to have they're symbiotic. Somebody was talking about too, like transitions. Every aspect of everything holds a piece. Like if you take a solid block of ice and you throw it in a boiling water, the transition from the ice, there's still ice in the boiling water because it at one point was ice. Therefore, it's still part of the boiling water. And just like if you freeze boiling water, at one point it was boiling, even though it's now frozen, there's still parts of boiling water in the ice because that's just what it was. That was the transition. The atom that you spoke of, the building block of society, the scientific building block of society, they've looked inside of it. Inside of the atom, there's quarks, and quasons, which is just pure energy. And all they're doing is vibrating. So when I say, where are we, when you say that we're light, and I've said this 1,000 times, like people have asked me sort of where I stand, because at one point, you may be a flat earther, you may be this, you may be that, you may have your opinions. And all of it to me is more illusion. I mean, at the end of the day, based on the science that we have and the information that we have, and who's to say the information's right, but just based on sort of how I'm able to deduce what I'm able to deduce with the information that I have and my ability to deduce said information, it seems to me that we're in a simulation. We are in a holodeck because we are pure energy. We are a collective of pure energy. And when you were talking about your story, you were slapping your arms, and that's solid. It seems solid, right? And even if you don't want to talk about solid or room or ethos or energy or all being connected, we talk about. I've talked about this before too. I've talked about the goldfish. Is the goldfish inside its scales, or is it inside the bowl? Or is it inside its scales inside the bowl? Or is it inside its scales inside the bowl, inside the room, inside the house, inside the country, inside the world?
Yeah, it's like the cups, where what's that theory where they have the little Polish dolls, wooden dolls, and I think it's Polish, and you take one off, and then there's a smaller one, and a smaller one, and a smaller one, and a smaller one. Yeah, man,
that's humanity.
It makes you think.
That's humanity. You want to take those wooden dolls, and here's a hilarious thing. Take those wooden dolls and hand one to a grandmother, then a daughter, then a granddaughter. So that's what you got, ladies and gentlemen.
Or even this. I watched this thing, and then I started seeing memes about it, about how like every woman that's ever existed is part of the original woman. Because every time a woman has a baby, part of that woman's DNA goes into that baby, and so on and so forth, and so on and so forth. And so like when you look at, say, like my daughter, she's equal parts her mom and her mom's mom and her mom's mom as she is her mom.
There's the other one that I really like too, in that sense, like the immediate correlation with that one is when your mother, when your daughter's grandmother gave birth to her mother, you're born with all of your quote unquote eggs, right? So
That's what I'm saying. You're born with your eggs. So she was already in existence inside of her mother, inside of her grandmother.
yes, yeah. And how far back does that visual time loop go, right? And it goes on forever, right? You can trace back, you could trace right up, you could just keep tracing up to a lineage. You can just, who was born to who was born to who, and you just run that gamut right up. And where do we go? Where do we go at the top of that? That's a huge question. Where do we go? Because you think you're different than somebody from over here, from over there. Every last one of us is essentially another version of either ourselves, of our essence, of our energy, of our aura.
Other.
What's that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
we're all, like you were just saying, we're literally carbon copies of each other.
Yeah. Yeah. And we want to put some physicality on it. Like, who are you? What is your consciousness? What are you doing right now? Are you sitting there? Are you having a conversation? Are you consciously pumping your own blood? Your arm, is that your arm? Is your arm you? Are you your arm? If I cut your arm off, would it still be your arm?
Would it grow back? You know, do you say my hand or am hand? You know?
Yeah. And there was the other one too. Who the hell was I talking to about this? They said that it's been documented that there was a tribe where if they lost an appendage, if they cut their finger off, it would grow back because nobody told them it didn't. And that, whether it's true or not, fucking blew my mind, because I'm like, it makes sense, because every last one of the things that we think we can't do, somebody told us we couldn't do it. That's
lizards
why we
are
think
able to grow back their tails and their appendages, and Instagram's only got 1:30, so we can end on Instagram and continue our conversation. But for the Instagram fam, what do you want to leave them with in these last 90 seconds?
Keep your stick on the ice. That's my sign off for this episode, for the show in general. With regards to the Instagram fam, keep doing what you're doing, man. You're rocking and rolling.
All right, y'all. Peace out. Go follow the Mental Mastery Alliance. I'll tag them in the post for certain.
Beauty.
Yeah, man.
So how come we only get an hour? This is fun business stuff too for people listening to this. We just went live, ladies and gentlemen. If you're just joining us, or if you skipped a bunch of crap and didn't want to hear us yammering at the beginning, we went live on Instagram. So this was a very live episode. And now we are not live, but we're still live in your ear. Yeah. I knew I confused you.
Love it.
So
we had some that Kimmer jumped on because, like I said, I respect Kimmer a lot, and for her to kind of like help us even go deeper, because we were talking about the people that are a certain way, and then one popped up that was actually not hostile, and it allowed us to hopefully open up some of your ears to some of the stuff that we're saying, because we're not against you. We just want you to look from a broader spectrum.
Of course. Don't limit yourself to anything, period. At the end of the day, you arguing with me over your beliefs versus my beliefs is you demonstrating to me your limitations. That's it. That's all you're doing. And when you have the ability to be open with everybody and communicate and learn and grow together, then we're exponentially getting somewhere, So, but also back to this, because I am interested in this shit. So what happens now with that live? What does it do?
I'm about to put it onto my feed, and I just tagged you. I said conspiracies with the Mental Mastery Alliance. Join me, my homie, the Mental Mastery Alliance.
More like free thought
podcast. Conspiracies and free thought. Conspiracies, critical thinking, because that's what it all revolves down to. Our conversations, critical thinking.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, but I enjoyed it. I'm glad that we were able to really have a legitimate conversation with some people that share alternative beliefs as us.
The next time we do that, you and I could just do a straight live without being on the podcast, because I can really hammer out some stuff. If I know we're going to go visually live, you and I could do a decent demonstration on when I do the TMMA conspiracy, the other one. You're following that, or at least you're aware of it. I think the one where I'm actually pushing a deeper, stronger, more aggressive narrative. Ladies and gentlemen, to those of you that aren't,
a lot.
What's that?
I've noticed it a lot.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that it was just because you're becoming more passionate than you already were about like the state of the world,
Well,
because
it
you
is.
are someone that does your own critical thinking.
Yeah. And for me, before I was definitely, I guess, you know what it is though? Like, I think it's the evolution. Like, you have to do certain things to get to certain places, and not like I have to do this to get that. It's I have to do this to comprehend that for me to become something else. And I played the game. I came at this world 5 years ago, the self-help guru world, and I walked out of like a really weird spot where I was a sales coach. I was a really good sales coach, but I was a sales coach. And sales coaches are drunken assholes with cocaine addictions, like 90% of them, which was also
Yeah.
me, you know? And I was really good at my job, but I hated my life. So how do you go from that to being a proper life coach? And then the fact that you hate the term life coach, and then you decide it's a business coach, and it's a this, and then it's an awakening coach, and it's this, and it's that. The reality is, I'm not any of those things. I'm here to help you comprehend what needs to be comprehended inside yourself to get you to where you need to be. The team does the majority of the work in that sense. But if I do work one-on-one with people, then that's the glow up. That's the big, real, true glow up. And it took me a long time to get there, but I had to go through the motions. I had to be taken seriously. I had to take myself seriously before I could present myself. And it took
Yeah.
years. It took about 5 years to evolve from somebody who was after material things and to play in those lines and to play in that sandbox, to really start pushing a different narrative, a different agenda, a different message, where now it's like I also needed the money. Like, you have to sustain your lifestyle, so you have to charge people, you have to do this, you have to do what the people want to get certain things. But then I found like I said, the biggest glow up is tapping into your essence, knowing you don't need the money, and knowing that the money itself is a construct, and knowing that if you do a good job, money is simply the result of a job well done.
Well, that's why
And
I like AwokenShit, because I don't need to make any money from AwokenShit, Awoken Truth, or Thoughts of the Awoken. I don't need to make any money from Mr. Smith 3 or OG Eddie Smith.
yeah,
I do all that stuff because I enjoy it.
yeah.
And I am a businessman, but I have a marketing agency, and I now I have a construction business. And I like the fact that my marketing agency makes me not need even the construction business,
Yeah.
because there's no scarcity.
And that's it. And when you live in that sense, you have the ability to wake up in the morning and do what you want, as opposed to wake up in the morning and be super stressed about some bullshit about nah. And again, like, your mind, even though it's like memes and people are like, well, it's not your creation, these are just memes. Like, your awoken shit is you sifting through the internet being like, I resonate with this, I'm going to share it.
That's why I
And
can't have somebody else manage it, because it'd be a huge time relief
yeah.
if I had somebody else manage it, but they don't have my personality.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, flat out, like, I've interacted with a ton of people, and you are top 5 most
Thank you.
fun to see and read and feel. And it's just your memes. It's just your digital expression of self, and it's awoken shit. I like it better than awoken truth. I mean, they're almost very similar, but
Yeah, and there's a very definitive difference. Awoken Truth is a lot more shadow type stuff.
yeah, I'm there. I get it, but awoken shit is like, it's almost a rub. It's almost like you're just like, this is so true. Everybody needs to know this. But there's also like a twinge of a rub to it. It's like, and here you go. And that, I just love that candor that you put out there, and you you put your soul on that. So, and it's also,
it's like the three sides of me. That's how that's how I like, because there was things on Awoken Shit. There were things that I was coming across. And I was like, I really resonate with this, but like, it's not like something I would put on this account, not because it's not part of me, but because this account is like my baby, and it's like this account's like this part of me, and like this part of me is like shielded from the rest of it, like
all limitations that we put on ourselves, and that's truth. Like, that's a growth pattern that you're going to have to go through eventually on that. But I mean, also at the same time, how often do you get to build an account and put your time into it and put your passion into it? Right? For the most part, you're going to interact with 1 or 2 people. I mean, I get a lot of DMs, but that's because of the message that I put out there. Like, no comments. If you want to talk to me, shoot me a DM. So we do well. The company does well with DMs. But for you, I mean, if it's not like you're going to get somebody to be like, man, I really appreciate your shit. So like I have the opportunity right now to go face to face and say, I appreciate the part of you that puts out the shit that you put out. And
yeah, and honestly, I saw your comment one day, and I was like, this dude's cool as hell. Like, I respect the hustle so much, and I resonated with you on such a different level than like even we're on right now. Then we had that initial conversation. I was like, oh man, like now you're my friend. You
yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah.
Like you're more real than some of the people that I grew up with.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in terms of the human interaction.
Yeah, because I mean, one of the biggest thing that you and I have going for each other, we're sitting here like tooting our own horns, and everyone's just listening to it. But the thing is, like, there's no superficiality to it. It is what it is, and that's one thing that you put out there, and that's one thing that I put out there. And there's a lot of people that have something to be. They have this essence, this image, this thing that they have to be, and that clouds their ability to have an opinion, have a conversation, share a thought, be praiseful, be thankful, be elevated, be anything, because of this internal dichotomy that they have to live up to. So when you say I'm more real than people you grew up with, that's because there's no level to me that isn't out in the open. And I don't mean like I'm an open book. I mean, let's address all of it. You got a problem, you got this, you got that. Let's talk about it. Let's figure it out. Let's hash it out. Let's see how we can vibrate, how we can literally get this thing to vibe together. And when people say that you can't just start vibing with somebody, I'll tell you this right now. 9 out of 10 times, you take 5 complete random stranger females, put them all in one house. What happens within a month or two? Right, ladies and gentlemen,
they sync up,
and
they're getting their periods at the same time. You know,
yeah.
One of my friends, him and I, we met at an airport, and we became like really good friends. But it was because we had like a quick interaction at a gate. We were both on the same flight, and we just made small talk, right? Because there's that vibe already.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it wasn't just like, oh, like, did you hear about this? It was like, oh, did you hear about this? It was like, oh yeah, like, where are you going? What are you doing? You know, and then boom, instant connection. That's still one of my main homies to this day.
And that's one of the things that, you know, we have as a humanity. We kind of like take that shit for granted. It's like, where do any of your friends come from? Because you meet 100,000 people a day, and 99.99% of them don't even resonate. You don't, it doesn't matter, right? But those ones that you're like, hey man, like we met how we met, and we clicked, like you said, at the gate, and this guy's now, you know, your best buddy. But actually, I heard something too. I heard something very interesting too. You don't have the ability to dream about somebody you've never seen. So inside, inside your mind, every single dream you have that involves people that you don't know, like background people,
strangers somewhere.
No, you've seen them. You've seen them somewhere. Yeah, you have physically seen that person.
Dude, that's some crazy shit. Because I've had some really fucked up dreams where people are doing some really fucked up things.
Have you ever interacted with
I saw that person in my dream doing that fucked up shit, and I saw them, they're a regular ass person just like watering their grass.
Yeah. Well, here's another weird thing. There's also we've all heard of astral projection, but there's astral meetups as well. Like I can meet you in a dream and give you information.
Oh yeah, I knew that. I've that's one of the big things that early on in my spiritual development, I try to understand it, because I used to have these very lucid, crazy, unimaginable, unbelievable dreams growing up, and like a lot of them are recurring, and a lot of them like were just like how, you know, like seeing somebody in my dream and then them telling me that they saw me in their dream also.
Yeah, that's a meetup. That's an astral meetup. Yeah. So why I brought that up, because wouldn't it be neat if you imprinted on somebody that you just walk by, right? And like all these faces, because you imprinted on them, right? You walk by them. Like I said, you can't see. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll repeat that. Every single face in your dream you've seen in real life. So what if you passed by them at some point and subconsciously took them in, but did not do anything? Like consciously, you have no clue. Subconsciously, you took them in, and your dream and what they're doing in your dream is what they're doing. What if you're witnessing their imprint? What if you're passing through their dream? So because they've also seen you, right? So what if every single dream is a meetup dream, and we should stop in our dreams and talk to the people that are in the background of our dreams?
Well, also, when you start going in there, what is real? Is it what's happening inside of our consciousness, or is it what's happening physically?
Well, you can't define reality. That's such a loaded question right there, because your
But you get
dreams
what
are
I'm
just as
saying? You
real.
know, like, because
Yeah.
are your dreams dreams if reality starts with consciousness and you're just forgetting a third of your life?
Yeah. Yeah. If we want to go to the dreamscape, like that's it. I could go on for hours and
You know
hours.
what I mean, though?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, I know. And people just dismiss it like, oh, whatever, it's a dream. Man, it's telling you something. My father passed away, and at the time I was dealing with an issue, and my father was really sick, and I had a lot of problems at the time. And we were working with him and all that sort of stuff. And at the time that he passed, because he was in a lot of pain, it was a relief that he was finally out of pain. We were happy for him, and that sort of thing. And I didn't get to grieve until a few weeks later. Well, I didn't properly get to grieve until a few weeks later after we handled everything, and life slowed itself down. I finally sat down and said, he's gone, but in the interim, I had a dream where I was sitting in a room. I was just simply, the construct was so simple. It was a big room with a standard old, just rickety wooden chair and a light bulb hanging on a string. And it was my dad. My dad was in the corner. I was sitting in the middle of the room. He was standing in the corner, like in a thinking pose. But it was like 1970s version of my dad, like young, healthy, not old version of my dad. And we hashed out this problem that I had, and he gave me the answer. And the interesting thing about that is that it was an answer that I would never have come to on my own. So inside that dream and inside that experience, I was given information and I was given logic that was never my own logic.
But why would you say that it's never of your own? Like, I'm not saying that it's not real. I'm just curious because a lot of people that are going to be listening to this, they're going to have that same question. And even though, like, I might understand where you're coming from, like, how do you know that it wasn't of your own or capable of your own? Because they asked the same question.
I
How do
was
you
young.
differentiate?
I was young at the time, so I was 27. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, 27 is very young. So
That
I
is
was,
super young. I'm 30
yeah,
and I know that's young.
yeah, yeah. So I was 27 at the time, and I had a certain set way of doing things, and I believed I was right, and I had all the answers, and I couldn't deduce this thing. And how I knew it wasn't my thinking was like it was an algebraic answer that I could never ever have cracked, because I'm not an algebraic mind. Now, it wasn't theoretically, it wasn't an algebra problem. It was
No,
a,
I get what you're
definite,
saying. It was just
yeah,
something that at the time wasn't even on your conscious level.
yeah. It was. So now you're right when you say it was your information. And as I look back on it now, it most certainly had to have been in the ethos of my mind.
Yeah,
Um,
that's where I was getting at. Like, how do
yeah.
you? Yeah, but I'm not trying to invalidate your experience
Oh
either.
no. And there is no right or wrong to it, because at the end of the day, it was my experience, and it still is my experience. And that experience crafted who I became. But the limitation that I put on myself to be like, it's not my experience, it's not my knowledge. And it wasn't my knowledge. It was definitely my dad's knowledge. And looking back on it now and in the past, you can also say that it wasn't about the answer that I got. It was about the experience of getting the answer and being able to tell the story later. That's the whole purpose of what took place in that dream. But that's just one dream. How many dreams have we had? How many experiences have we had that we've dismissed and we've not addressed? And however else we want to
Or
look at it.
even, yeah, I used to have this recurring dream about a mammoth and these three clowns on tricycles, and there's a spotlight, and it was all dark except for the spotlight. And these three clowns on tricycles that were very much smaller than me would circle me, and I would run because they were smaller than me, and I could like outrun them on their tricycles. And then I would run, and I'd come to a cliff, and the cliff had a tightrope, and I'd go to walk across that tightrope, and I'd fall, and then there'd be this big ass mammoth in a new spotlight, and then I'd wake up, and I would spew chunks everywhere. And I'd usually wake up and like there'd be like the TV on with white noise. I used to call them the ants racing, but it's white noise now that I know that I'm older. And this was a very routine and regular dream I had until I didn't.
Was it after perhaps you had seen the Insane Clown Posse?
Back then, no.
What a
Back
great
then, like
band.
we're talking like 97, 98, 99.
Did you get an answer to it?
No, I should probably intentionally ask.
You just did. because you just brought it back up. So now you have the opportunity to look back on it and go, what did it mean? And you can give yourself an answer now and an experience. You can give yourself a new experience, because that's really all we're here for, which is the same thing. Ladies and gentlemen, too, we are running long. So just so you know, we're starting to wrap up
Yeah, and
now.
I got a call
Yeah.
in 12 minutes, another one.
Okay. So we'll rush the wrap up. I was going to say that we were talking about the awakening, the grand awakening, and people like the people that I've coached through it and the people that I've worked through it, they've said things like, you're lucky you're 40. I just turned 40. And when I
No,
woke
you
up,
don't look 40.
no, I look fantastic. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
When I've also started taking care of my body. My mind was everything. And then my body's like, hey, what about me? And I'm like, all right. We'll do you now.
Yeah.
So I've had a lot of fun with that, but, yeah, you drink water, ladies and gentlemen. It's good for your skin. So, what was I talking about? Damn it. Yeah. 40, turned 40. And when I turned 40, I woke up that morning and I said to myself, this is round 2, day 1. And I'm fucking stoked, because I went through my 20s. I went through the majority of my 30s trying to hold on to my 20s, like the first half of my 30s. The second half of my 30s, I didn't really know what was going on, like mid to later 30s. And then by 37, I had it figured out and path set. And then trial and error up until 40. I'm like, I'm ready now. I'm ready to go with what I want to do. And that means, like, I jumped through, I'd made $1 million. I burned $1 million in my lifetime. I'd fucking made all kinds of mistakes. I hated myself the majority of that time. I hated the world. I was insecure. I was depressed. I was filled with anxiety, all that shit. I beat all of it. I mentally got my way out of it. I used all of it. And somebody said to me, or I read somewhere that, life starts at 40, and sure, it could be cliche. Life starts at 40. Everything up to that is a practice run. And it's true. We do some serious training. You're only 30. You've got 10 more years of fine tuning. And then when you hit 40, you're like, fuck, I'm ready to go. And it's cool. But she
I feel
said,
like I'm at the starting line right now, honestly.
yeah. And you'll feel the same way in 5 years from now, and then 5 years from there, because you're going to consistently compile knowledge. You, sir, have an energy that's going to fucking rock the world. And right now you're gearing up. You're very young and very excited and very high energy. But when you start moving, you're going to see, like, you and I'll be friends. 10 years from now, we'll do another cast. Obviously we'll do a few between them, but we'll be connected. I'm sure of it.
Yeah,
but
man, it's wild.
She was saying, I want to end on this piece. She was saying that, you've got a head start. You're 40 and I'm 57. And I said to her, I'm like, no, I don't have a head start. I don't have a head start in this awakening. I said, you're 57. I'm 40. I'm working with people that are 27. You yourself, Eddie, you're 30, right? But we are all, for the most part, give or take a couple of glass ceilings, we're all in this awakening together. We're all going through it right now.
Oh, yeah.
We are all collectively waking up. It doesn't matter what age you are. And if you're not waking up, fucking get on it. It's up to you to be like, wait a minute, wait a tick, Basil. This ain't right. This ain't tickety boo. So, it is up to us. And you do have to go in 12 minutes, now probably 9. We ran long. Again, love to have you. I can't believe this is only the second time you've been on the show. We're doing it again. But what is there a topic you want to leave off on, or anything like that?
The biggest thing, I think I literally said the same thing at the end of our last conversation. If anything, like, just do your own research, think for yourself. History is quite literally his story. And so if you want to know something, like, go and read not just the Bible, but read the Bible, the Quran, and the Kabbalah, and the fucking, whatever. If you want to know about COVID, read everything for and against COVID. You want to know about child sex trafficking, read everything for and against it. And then come to your own conclusions based off of the information that you have, instead of being force-fed information that isn't always in your best interest.
Yeah. Don't bite shit hook, line, and sinker. Take a look at all of it. And if it doesn't resonate with you, ask yourself why. Look into it. Look more. Constantly look. Understand, too, that every piece of information and knowledge that you have can be changed with new information and knowledge. And have fun with it, man. None of us get out of here alive, so just have fun with it.
Yeah.
Awesome, Eddie. All of your information is going to be in the liner notes of the show and of the episode. Not a commercial for Eddie, but definitely reach out to him if you want help with your social media. 100% reach out to Eddie. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, keep your stick on the ice.